Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to talk about why I can't take flat earth claims seriously. I recognize that this could be poking idiots with a stick, but I can't help it. Anyone that is dumb enough to think that this picture is an accurate depiction of what the earth looks like, calling them an idiot is being nice. A fucking retard would be more like it. But there is another picture that I want to show you that pretty much was made for flat earthers. If the earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off it by now. But for all of you idiots that want to try and say it's flat, before you blow up my comment section, post your videos of this ice edge. I want to see your YouTube videos proving this ring of ice that is around the outside of this disc. And for those that want to try and say there is no curvature type of thing, even if it would look like you're seeing here, there would still be curvature. Because you have a curve to the circle that is this picture. It's not a three-dimensional, which really also raises questions in my mind of why are these people trying to act like a flat two-dimensional image is an accurate depiction of a three-dimensional world. Or are they trying to say that it's only two-dimensional? Even though we can look at each other and see that we are three-dimensional people. But this came about because I had gotten this stupid bullshit from an idiot on my one video for New Questions for Atheists, where they tried saying, daylight is sunlight only because NASA wants you to think that. That really had me face palming. And then to try and say God created two light sources, daylight and sunlight, that tells me they've never read their fucking Bible. Not that the Bible is fucking evidence, but they never read it. And for that, just because I'm a bit of a prick, I will show you what is in the bullshit Bible. This, and God made two great lights, does not say daylight and sunlight. The one to rule the day, the lesser to rule the night. The moon is not a light. The moon is reflecting the light of the sun. However, any of you flat earthers that want to try and use the Bible, perhaps you can explain to me that didn't come about until day 4. Where was this light and evening and the light for evening and morning and so forth for the first 3 days? From Genesis 1:3, where God said, let there be light, and there was light. What was this light? You can't say that this here was the Big Bang, because that would have nothing to do with the earth. The earth would not have been here at the Big Bang. So you can't try and say that this is the Big Bang, because that pretty much would mean the earth wasn't here, which means Genesis 1:1 is false. You're at a real big dilemma, but then you have another dilemma that this God divided the light from the darkness in verse 4, but didn't create the source of light until verse 16. How do you divide the light from the darkness when you have no light as the source? What is this God dividing? It really makes no sense. This is all a bunch of gibberish. It is a bunch of scribblings from people that had no fucking idea what they were talking about. They were making shit up to try and explain the world that they saw and their stupid ideas about it. But then we have this nonsense. And when it comes to the Flat Earth Society, there's two different versions that show up. One is the wikifiles.org. The other is the flatearthsociety.org. They give very different messages. And since I have things regarding this one, I'll start with this one. This one claims, and I will show it on here because it's easier to read than on the web page, the aspect of gravity. Why doesn't gravity pull the Earth into a spherical shape? And these people say, and on this wiki page, that the Earth is in a constant accelerating, it's constantly accelerating up at a rate of 32 feet per second squared. And then they say, imagine sitting in a car that never stops speeding up. Well, then you wouldn't be going at a set speed because it would be constantly speeding up. So the aspect of having a rate that it is at would be impossible because it's constantly accelerating. And to demonstrate this, because I know how thick flat earthers are, I will explain acceleration to you because I also know how stupid you fuckers are.
Did you know a jet can be traveling at the speed of sound and not be accelerating? While the speed of sound is extremely fast, acceleration occurs only if the jet is speeding up or slowing down. Let's take a look at a quick example to understand the difference between speed and acceleration. When I take off in my car, I accelerate until I achieve my maximum speed. I cease to accelerate when I obtain a constant speed. The law states that I can drive at a maximum speed of 65 miles per hour on a highway in Oregon. The law doesn't put a restriction on my acceleration. If I floor the accelerator, I may be able to achieve 65 miles per hour in about 7 seconds. If I go easy on my minivan, it will take me closer to 14 seconds to achieve the same speed. By flooring the accelerator, I decrease the time it takes to change my speed from 0 to 65 miles per hour. In other words, my acceleration is greater. The entire time my speed is increasing from 0 to 65 miles per hour, I am accelerating. The moment I achieve 65 miles per hour and ease up on the gas to keep a constant speed, I am no longer accelerating. Before we can talk about acceleration, we need to understand velocity, which is the rate that an object moves from one place to another. Velocity is a vector quantity, which means it has both a magnitude, called speed, and a direction. If I were in my car traveling 30 miles per hour to the north, the magnitude of my velocity, or speed, would be 30 miles per hour, and my direction would be north. If I changed my speed, or if I changed my direction, then I would experience a change in my velocity. This is where acceleration comes into play. Acceleration, also a vector quantity, is the rate at which an object changes its velocity. The most obvious way that I could accelerate would be to change my speed from, say, 30 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. However, I would also experience acceleration if I changed direction without changing my speed, like driving around a bend in the road at a constant 30 miles per hour. In a large bend where my direction was changing slowly, I would experience a lower acceleration than if I were to take a sharp turn, since my direction would change more rapidly. We can feel the difference in acceleration when we go around a corner in a car as a sensation that we're being pulled or pushed to one side or the other. Consider a person riding a bike. Let's say they start out from rest and reach a speed of 10 meters per second by 1 second, 15 meters per second by 2 seconds, and 18 meters per second after 3 seconds. We know that the bike accelerated for the entire 3 seconds since the velocity kept increasing, but was the acceleration the same for each time period? To find out, we'll need to use the change in velocity over each period of time to calculate the average acceleration. Now that we understand the concept of acceleration, the formula for calculating acceleration will make sense and be easier to remember. The average acceleration of an object can be calculated using the following equation. A equals Vf minus Vi divided by Tf.
Anyway, I think you get the point with that. It is all a matter of acceleration means you're constantly increasing speed. If you slow up, you are decelerating. You are not accelerating. So to say the Earth is constantly accelerating up, you couldn't have a rate of anything because it would be constantly accelerating, which means it would be constantly getting faster. Which is probably why the Flat Earth Society, regarding the aspect of is the Earth in constant acceleration, they say no. This is a popular theory among some small groups to explain gravity, but it's problematic at best. Problematic? It's fucking impossible. This idea of constant acceleration, it shows that these people do not know what they're fucking talking about. They don't understand what acceleration means. But these dumbasses try saying, we're not whizzing about at 67,000 miles an hour. I don't know where they get that from. Or at speeds towards the speed of light. That is fucking insane. Einstein had proved nothing with mass can go at the speed of light. So for them to even have that in there shows me they do not understand science in the slightest. It makes me think that what really fits them is this face. That's why I think flat earthers are trolls. Because this website also says gravity is false, that objects just fall. Even though this other one, that is also called the Flat Earth Society, says that this constant acceleration is what causes gravity by what they term universal accelerator, which is bullshit. They say known as dark energy. That is bullshit. I'll have a website in the description bar below that will go into. Now this is from NASA, so these flat earthers won't like this one, but it goes into what dark energy is and explains it in good detail for that, as well as I'll have one in there of the orbit of the sun in the Milky Way, which is something else the flat earthers don't believe. But I'm also right now going to go into a short part of this video where Neil deGrasse Tyson was asked if the Earth stopped rotating for a second.
John Extra via Twitter wants to know what would happen if the Earth stopped rotating for a second.
Oh, yeah, that would be disastrous. Disastrous, because right now, here in New York, you can calculate at our latitude, we are all moving with the Earth at 800 miles an hour. Due east.
I'm going to back that up for you flat earth jackasses that want to try and say, as the Flat Earth Society does, we're not whizzing about in space at 67,000 miles per hour. I'd love to know where they get that figure when Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a physicist and is far more qualified than you assholes, clearly says
due east. We're all moving with the Earth at 800 miles an hour. due east because Earth is rotating. If you
800 miles an hour. And that's putting a figure of about New York City, because at the equator it would be about 1,000 miles an hour is the estimate. But I want to know from you flat earth jackasses, prove the claim made by the Flat Earth Society of 67,000 miles an hour. Where is that number coming from? I want to see your data on who is making that claim. Or are you just the troll face? Because if you are, I have a special place for you. But to let Neil deGrasse Tyson continue.
You stopped Earth and you weren't seat belt buckled to the Earth, you would fall over and roll 800 miles an hour due east. It would kill everyone on Earth. People would be flying out of windows, and that would just be a bad day on Earth. I'm just saying. Now, if somehow we all slowed down, so anything not bolted to the Earth would fly due east, 800 miles an hour. That's what happens to you in a car if you hit a brick wall and you're not wearing a seatbelt. You keep going. That's why you get hurt in those kinds of accidents. But if somehow we all slowed down with the Earth, then, okay, that's fine. I mean, people think, well, somehow we'll be weightless or we'll lose our atmosphere. No, it's just that you'll have really long days.
And that addresses the aspect of where the flat earthers say the Earth is not spinning at all. You're fucking idiots. And the reason you don't... This website, which I'll have also in the description bar below, explains why you can't feel the Earth spinning. And it explains it very well by pointing out that you don't feel, when you're in an airplane and it's going about 500 miles an hour, you don't feel like you're moving at 500 miles an hour. The stewardess can come over and pour you a cup of coffee, and the coffee doesn't fly to the back of the plane. It's because the coffee, the cup, you, and the stewardess are all moving at the same rate of speed as the plane. Now, if that plane's velocity would be constantly changing, slowing up and speeding up and slowing down, when they're trying to pour you this cup of coffee, it would be a very bad day for you, because you would end up having that coffee in your lap. You would wear it, just because of the aspect of the change in velocity of the plane. But when you're in a vehicle like a plane that is moving at a set rate of speed, you're not going to necessarily feel that rate of speed. It's the same with when you're in a car. You won't feel the speed that you're going at unless you're trying to make a turn and so forth. It's when you're just going in a straight line, you're not going to feel the speed really that you're going at. It's only when you slow up or whatnot that you're going to feel that force on you of the speed that you were moving at. Or if you hit a wall, then yeah, you're going to keep moving at the speed you were going into that wall, which is why people die in accidents like that. But I'll have this link in the description bar below as well. But going back to this stupid bullshit, one thing that I find interesting with the stupid claims regarding this flat earth bullshit, they first ask, are you serious? And they're like, yes. And I think they're trolls. And I think this next question is kind of interesting. Are you controlled opposition? I'll be honest. I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. A controlled opposition is a protest movement that is actually being led by government agents. Nearly all governments in history have employed this technique to trick and subdue their adversaries. And their claim The Flat Earth Society's claim that they're not some basically led by government agents to dupe people, I'm not sure I believe their claim. They say they're not, but everything about what they're promoting and what they're putting forward does appear to be driven by that. It could be driven by something like that, I would say, especially given how they'll so knee-jerk. Oh, if it's from NASA, that's fake. That's a knee-jerk reaction that almost seems controlled opposition driven. That's what they're being told by whoever from whatever government agency. If you want to have a conspiracy theory, this controlled opposition makes a conspiracy theory of Flat Earth Society. That Flat Earth Society is a government-funded scam to try and dupe people. And the aspect of where they have in here about why would people lie about the shape of the earth, I want you to see this one. Their second reason to hide the truth of the Bible. What truth? Seriously, jackasses, have you read this fucking shit? I've read it. I've gone through this. I've pointed out in multiple videos where truth behind this shit. What truth? Seriously, are bats birds? Are you people fucking high? What fucking truth is a spherical earth gonna hide with this bullshit? I mean, that you want to talk about wacky conspiracy theory, that is as wacky as it gets. But the aspect of this stupid shit, and they show, oh, this is something I also wanted to show you. What does the map of the earth look like then? As evidenced by the logo of the United Nations, the earth is a round disk. Check this out. Of indefinite dimensions. And the aspect of indefinite. Let's look that one up. Indefinite. Not precise. Vague. Having no exact limits. If it has no exact limits, how can you say it looks like that if there are no exact limits? How do you know it is in that shape? How do you know it's not square? After all, the Bible does say about the four corners of the earth. How do you know it's not a flat disc, but a square? And maybe you're just going to fall off the edge at a corner. Because the Bible says the four corners of the earth. If you're going by the truth of the Bible, I mean, what the fuck? But to try and say indefinite dimensions, that's bullshit. If you don't have defined dimensions, you can't have any shape because you don't have defined dimensions. It is gibberish. That is why I say over and over again that this is gibberish. But there's also on this fucking bullshit, I had come across an article that is this one, and I realized when I did this that you wouldn't really be able to read it, so there's who wrote it, and I ain't not shitting you. By Sex Warrior. Talk about, use the term you can see where this is going. But the area that I wanted you to want to focus on is they were talking about flat earthers vandalizing somewhere, and where I have darkened is really what I want you to see. People do not see kindly to vandalism and are likely to be left with a bitter taste in their mouths. Our likely? This sex warrior needed someone to do their editing and proofreading, because our and are very different. That's not a minor typo. Our and are, that's really different. A-R-E versus O-U-R, that's not a minor typo. That's a biggie. And the aspect of a bitter taste in their mouth. Yeah, I'm sure that sex warrior is really familiar with leaving people with a bitter taste in their mouth. But then there is stupid shit like this that actually comes from a tweet that was from the Flat Earth Society. Flat Earth Society has members all over the globe. And physics-astronomy.com tweeted back, "Say that again, but slowly." It's just one, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And yeah, that is a bit savage. But it raised the question in my mind, these flat earth jackasses talk about the earth being flat. Do they think the sun is flat too? Because this just goes into how many earths could fit into a flat sun. And I found that a little bit interesting. But then you have the aspect of the size of the sun versus the size of the earth. And it is something that it's important to note, because the one you see in the middle there is the model that these jackasses with the Flat Earth Society think that the sun and moon are from the earth, which frankly at that distance we would be burnt up. We would not be able to survive at that distance. It's just, that makes me facepalm, because that aspect, and I will close some of this, the diameter of the sun is, as you can see, while the equator, the dimensions of the earth is vastly smaller. Compared to the earth, the sun is huge. And it shows a representation of how tiny the earth is compared to the sun. To try and say, as these dipshits do, that the sun and moon would be that close, there is no fucking way. We would be vaporized, because that is closer, that would be closer than Mercury is to the sun, because at the distance that would have to be, we would be pulled into the sun and vaporized. It's just the idea of that, wow. But what I thought was really fucking funny, when I was looking at this One Flat Earth Society, the Wiki page, they had said about the simplest evidence that the earth is flat is all around us. The world looks flat. No, it doesn't. The bottoms of the clouds are flat. The top of their heads are flat. the movement of the sun are examples your senses are telling you that we do not live in a spherical, heliocentric world. That is fucking retarded. But down what I have in red, the notion of a spherical world theory is the theory which has the burden of proof, not the flat earth theory. Then, as if that isn't absolutely fucking absurd, they then go on to say the best example of flat earth proof is, and they give something that they say is their best evidence. The problem is, right above it, they try to shift the burden of proof and say the burden of proof isn't on them. However, flat earthers, I know you're fucking stupid, but I'm an atheist. Atheists do not have the burden of proof regarding the God issue because atheism is the disbelief in the claim that there is a God. Flat Earth is not a disbelief in a spherical world. Flat Earth claims are a claim, a specific claim, that the world is flat. You are not saying, your position is not based on a disbelief of something. It is based on an assertion that something is true. Since you are asserting that the earth is flat, you need to prove your assertion. You do not have the ability to try and shift the burden of proof. And this is all over and over again, no matter how many ways you look at it. There are so many videos that have been done proving over and over and over again that you guys are flat out wrong. And I honestly feel that what you really are is nothing but a bunch of trolls. That you know what you're spouting is pure bullshit. You know it. Everyone that has a brain in their head knows it. It's just a matter of you're so determined to find a conspiracy in everything. I think you're more interested in being trolls than in anything else. That is why I don't take you seriously. I can't. Because your claims are so ludicrous that they defy reason. They defy logic. And they defy what I can see with my own senses. But like, share, subscribe, and we'll see how much my comment section blows up over this one. Later, people.